Brodie's best year, that was the '05 season. And started out, undefeated, beat Florida, had a great year. And I was in Iraq. And, like Brad was talking about earlier, all the gifts that would be sent. I was living out in a battle position, out in the city, fighting day in and day out. And every 2 weeks we'd get mail. And I would get like literally 2 or 3 Humvees full of stuff. From all across the state of Alabama, because Coach Shula had written this really kind letter, about me serving, and somehow the information got out, and it was overwhelming. But my battalion commander was a big old football redneck from Georgia. I mean, this guy carried a knife in his flak jacket with a deer horn, and so he loved me. And my platoon commander, my company commander, our call sign was Yankee because he was from New York City. So he was like, you damn incestuous rednecks in your football, you've got this whole other cult to where you get all this special treatment and you're the most boot lieutenant, out here. So he would come, literally we'd be in a gunfight, and this man would be walking down the street built like Will Bartholomew, and he would have all the scores, and he'd come take a knee next to me while we're getting shot at, and reading off scores for me. And I remember the Auburn game, all he kept telling me was how many sacks they were up to on Brodie. I think, was it 11? Yeah, great introduction. So now back to Brodie, right? When we were doing our 68 Venture Scholarship at Alabama this year, and Graham Roten, our winner, is back here, I was telling the team, I said, as a walk-on, you could tell who was going to be successful in life based off how they treated you. How the stars on that team, the ones that everybody knew, the ones that were famous, the ones that were heavily recruited, the ones that were all SEC, all American, going to the NFL, how they treated everybody on that team as a leader, as a person, as a friend, those were the ones that are going to be successful. The Brodie Croyles, the Jarrett Johnsons, the Wesley Britts, D'Amico Ryans, who's been so successful with the Texans. All those kind of guys who respected what your role was. But the guys who showed up and thought down to you because you didn't run a 4.4 or you didn't have multiple scholarships offers, like nobody even knows where those guys are today. They didn't finish at Alabama, have no idea what they're doing for a career now, how they're adding value to society. But the people that are built like him, they're the ones out there changing the world. And you already heard Mr. Stimson and Billy talk about Brodie's dad. So there's no accident that he's turned out the way he is because of the mentors he's had in his dad and his mom. And I give Miss T a lot of credit for praying for me and getting me through a lot, in my life. But you want to talk about somebody I've got love and admiration for? It's this guy right here. They have now raised over 3,000 kids as a family. I've got 3. Brodie has over 300 right now. And he's trying to add more every day. You want to talk about making an impact? Holy cow. 3,000 kids that have a life, that have somebody that knows they love them, that is holding them accountable, that is providing opportunities. But, I could talk about this guy all day. I need to get off my microphone. So come on up here, man. But, what a gift.
Man, don't you love getting introduced like that? My wife's from Mississippi, knew nothing about football before we got married. Like, not what a first down was, not what a touchdown was, why everybody went crazy when you got into the really colorful ending part there at the end. But being from Mississippi, she didn't know a whole lot about touchdowns and first downs at that point in time. And so you have a grace for that. But all she knew was Kansas City, because that's where we played for 5 years. And so when it came time to end, it was like, well, where are we living? What are we doing? And she was like, I think we need to move to Tuscaloosa. I said, hold up. I said, you enjoy flying in on Friday, going to the game on Saturday, and then flying home on Sunday. She's like, yeah. I said, living there is a totally different animal. I was like, these people are crazy. Like, we're a hair crazy, right? That's what we do. And she was like, I get it, blah, blah. I said, okay, fair warning, right? So we had been back for about 6 weeks or so. And she calls me, and she's just laughing hysterically I was like, what's so funny? She said, so I came over the bridge, and I came down the bottom of the hill, and I'm at I said, I know what you're talking about. And she said, right there on this minivan in front of me, There was a 30A sticker, a 26.2, my dog's smarter than your fifth grader, and she said right there on the bumper, it said, honk if you sack Brodie. So to all you Auburn fans, anything I say today that is derogatory towards you, you made a bumper sticker about me, okay? And you made my wife question whether she should honk or not. Like, I mean, seriously, right in that moment. So it's an honor to be here, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. I kind of feel like a Vienna sausage being served at a Ruth Chris with all these amazing speakers that they have, because I don't have a single letter next to my name that qualifies me to get to here and share this with you. And I think I currently have 23 more minutes, and I have a tough time even saying my name for only 23 more minutes, so I'm going to jump right into this. But what I do have is a life of getting to see what good culture and excellence, what it produces. And so that's really what I want to share with you today, because I went straight from the hospital to this place called Big Oak Ranch. If you don't know what we do, we take in orphaned, neglected, abused, abandoned children. We put them in a home with a godly man and woman with the belief that what a child repeatedly hears and repeatedly sees, they're eventually going to repeat. And we tell our house parents, hey, go live a different way of life. Because where they came from doesn't define where it is that they're going. And we're going to show them a different way of life, and that God always had a plan for their life. And at some point, a small thing repeated is not a small thing. And at some point, there will be a harvest to that. So just go serve it. And all we've really done since 1974, when it started in a small farmhouse with 5 boys, is every time a need would come, we would try to solve that problem. Man, we're not far out thinkers. We're not what people give us credit for. We're not systematic changes. But what I do believe is if you solve enough problems, that problem ends up getting compounded, and all of a sudden you begin to start making a difference. I got to see that from a front row. I got to see a guy that literally gave up a chance to go play in the NFL to go serve a bunch of kids he had never met, with the belief that one day that boy is going to become the man, the husband, the father that his kids deserve. And that girl is going to become the godly woman that she was always destined to be, but instead she was being sold at a truck stop so her mom could pay rent. I got to see that from the front row. But what I also got was I got to play this great game called football. And man, that game changed my life in so many ways. It gave me so much opportunity. It gave me so much that I didn't even realize in the moment that I was learning and I was growing, and how God was going to use that later in my life to now get to do what it is that I get to do. Because it went from a small farmhouse and 5 boys to now we have 5 different locations serving hundreds of kids on a daily basis, a school with 700 kids on it, a mission where we go raise up leaders to go build communities that last year touched 10,000 children that we'll never get to meet, but man, we got to lead some of those people in helping them get to go do it. And I used to fight, like, well, I'm supposed to act like a ministry person. And turns out I'm not overly good at that. All right, so then I probably need to be more like a business person. Turns out I'm not overly good at that. So how is it that we can take the things that we learned from the huddle and then plug those things in and just be who we are and use all these things that have been plugged into our life to go build it? Because I'm also at this point in time a believer that if more Fortune 500 companies ran like a sport team, we'd be in a whole lot better shape. Because what does a sport team do? You identify your gaps. Then you go recruit talent said based off those gaps. You bring that gap, that person into there. You build a game plan based off of what they're skilled at and gifted at. You go practice for 6 days with the belief that what you practice will eventually relieve the pressure when the moment comes. You always have a game day. You always need to figure out where you stand, where you are, and how good you really are. And then the next day, you watch film. So you review, you rinse, and you repeat. It's not overly complicated. I told y'all, I'm not the smartest person in the room, so I have to make this really, really simple. But it's been able to, when we plugged it in to what it is that we do, we've seen tremendous growth from it. So I want to share a few of those leadership lessons from the huddle with you today, and if you'll plug them in, I promise you will see a fruit. So y'all ready? Y'all ready? All right. Lesson number 1. Hop, fit, the trips right, tight, zip, scat right, chip, 525, F post H, swing, alert, 40 belly, kill 50 gut on 2. Ready? Anybody got that? Hop, fit is to shift. So we come up to the line, we go shift, and our H and our F move. Trips right, tight is our formation, tells everybody where to be. Zip is our motion. Scat is our protection. Once again, bumper sticker. Doesn't always mean you do it, right? It's telling our guard and our tackle, whichever one's not covered, you're dueling to those Mike and that Sam. Both of them come, they're on me. 5 tells my X that he's got a comeback. 2 tells this guy that he's got a crosser. This guy's got a 5. Our F's a little slow. I got to tell him to run a post. My H, hey, chip, because Glover's over there and he likes to hit people, so then we're going to run a swing after that. And if I don't like to look and it's an underfront, now I'm going to get to go, well, alert, 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 because now I have numbers. If they're in an overfront and the Mike's in a strong position, I'm going to go kill, 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 and I'm going to get us in that position. So you got it now. Hop, fit, the trips right, tight, zip, scat right, chip, 525, F post H, swing, alert, 40 belly, kill, 50 gut on 2. That is one of 300 plays that I had to learn every week. And here's why that's important to you. Because when I walked into that huddle, I'm the vision carrier. I'm the quarterback. I'm the leader. And I walk into that huddle, and my job is to be able to clearly and articulate, like, man, this is what our play is. And our vision for this play is to get a first down. It's to move the sticks. We're going to have 3 different plans as to how we can get there. But my job is to get us in the right play. But in that play, I literally told everybody what their role was within the vision. Everybody knew exactly what their role was in that vision. And so many times as leaders, what we forget to do is we share the end-game vision of, hey, let's go get yards. And we might even say the play, but we might leave some things out of it. I can promise you, if you leave scat right out of it, you end up on a bumper sticker. If you don't know if 2 come and you miss the hot, you end up with a dislocated jaw. If you don't check to the right play, you end up with a lot of things. Like if you don't clearly articulate where it is that you're wanting to go, how are people going to do their job in getting you to that said goal? As leaders, that's our job, is to clearly be able to not only tell us how to get into what they're supposed to be doing, but then also going, the goal's the same. It doesn't really matter what the plan is to get us there. We've just got to go wherever it is that's going to allow us to get to that place. And that's where we as leaders, I believe most people, if you ever want to see a dysfunctional organization, I'd be willing to bet you at the very beginning something was not articulated and something was not communicated in the depth that it is. And it starts literally in the huddle. But here's the thing that happens after that. Let's just say we did communicate hop, fit, to trips right, tight, zip, scat right, chip, 525, F post H, swing, alert, 40 belly, kill, 50 gut on 2, and we break. The moment that I break the huddle is the moment that the vision has been cast, it is the moment that it has been clearly communicated, and it is the moment that I now have to capture my own role within it. And that's where we go wrong a lot as well. Because what we want to do is we want to communicate, and instead of capture our role to now go through our own read and to read our own stuff and to do what only a quarterback can do what only my position can do, what we want to do is we want to go up there and we want to control the outcome. We want to control everything about the play. And what's beautiful and what Coach was saying about football is teamwork and relying on your teammate and trusting that they're going to do their job and transferring that ownership over to them is what makes a team work. And you have to trust that. You have to communicate it well. You have to believe that they understand what their job is. And so many times as leaders, we want to not communicate and then capture what only we can do. We want to communicate and control the outcome. And I would challenge you with this. You have to be able to capture your role. So I would tell you, you have to know what your strengths are. And you got to play to those strengths. From the time I was this little, I could throw a football. It's a God-given gift I did absolutely nothing for, but it would be dishonoring to the Lord and dishonoring to my team if I didn't play to those strengths. Every one of you has a gift. Man, it might be empathy. It might be strategic thinking. You might be charismatic. You might be a visionary. You might have, whatever your gift is, play to it. Then you're going to have these hidden gifts underneath it. My mother was a calculus teacher. I retained a lot of information and processed it really quickly thanks to my mother, but it's something that I have to work for. All of us have hidden gifts. Are we willing to work for it? Once again, I had to learn those 300 plays. The greatest compliment I ever received as a football player was from my college offensive coordinator when he said, "Brodie's the most prepared player that I ever coached." You know, why that one means so much more than me being able to throw an out route or hit a comeback or any of those things, it meant the most because it was something that was inside of me that had to be called out every week, every day. Every day, like yesterday didn't happen and tomorrow didn't matter. That day deserved my absolute best because my team deserved my absolute best. And then we all have our weaknesses. Once again, since Nathan teed it up for me, I wasn't real fast. Just wasn't a thing for me. But I could be quick. If I could buy myself that much more time, it's something that, whatever your weakness is, you'll never be able to play to it for an extended period of time. But to simply say it's not what I'm good at, so therefore I'm not going to do it, that's dishonoring to our teams. And the reality is that when we're dishonoring to our teams, they see it. And the reality is also is that, man, humility is being able to surrender that. Because so many times we want to control it and we don't want to tell anybody that we have weaknesses. The reality is they already know what our weaknesses are. So humility isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less for the betterment of what you originally called the play for. So learn how to call the play. Learn how to tell everybody what their piece of it is. Transfer that ownership. Don't just simply say, I'm going to empower. My gracious, you want to make somebody mad? Say, I'm going to empower you. Like, do you empower? Okay, that's a word. Do you delegate? That's an action. Then do we move into overseeing because now they're doing it at a level we never could because we're playing to our strengths, they're playing to theirs, and we became the team that we were capable of becoming. That's the first leadership lesson that I learned. The second is it's never about you. It's never about you. When I was 11 years old, I walked into my parents' bedroom. I said, I'm going to play in the NFL. Versus telling me, worry about making your first ever football team. They said, shoot for the moon, worst case scenario, we'll end up in the stars. I'm ashamed to say that day is when football became my God. Makes for a great game, makes for a terrible God. And if you ever want to wonder, like, hey, what is my God? Where do you spend your time, your energy, your resources, and most importantly, your thoughts? And I'll tell you what your God is. And that was mine. And it's sneaky and it kind of goes and it takes a good thing and it makes it bad. But you know what? I did make it there. 11 surgeries, 3 broken vertebrae, punctured lung, ruptured spleen, dislocated jaw, and a partridge in a pear tree later. I did make it there. Look at me. I should have been a punter, right? Nobody looks at me and says, man, get Jared Johnson to stand up. You'll see a football player. My claim to fame, I was just dumb enough to keep getting up, right? That was my only claim to fame. But I did. I made it there. And I'd earned the starting job twice with the Chiefs, got hurt both times. And they signed a guy paying him about $20, $30 million a year. That guy's not going to sit on the bench. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the man. And I didn't have a chance to be the man. And the problem was from the same time I was 11, I had a coach look at me and say, Brodie, you're the best. Be the leader. I'm like, why? He said, well, you're the leader because you're the best. And so I led from this place of talent. Not a great place to lead. I became a quarterback. Now I get title. I played good enough to keep that title named quarterback, so now all of a sudden I'm leading from this place of talent, title, and production, and I never understood the most important piece named influence. Because I'm sitting in there and I'm struggling and I'm drowning and the GM calls me in. He said, what's wrong with you, man? I said, I don't know if I can do this. He said, what do you mean? I said, I've never been this before. I don't know how to do it. And he said, you're smart, You work hard. He said, you'll figure it out. You really need to get him. He's a great motivational speaker. So I walk out of that room still knowing absolute nothing, but my granddaddy and my dad used to always tell me, you can show up early. You can be the most prepared. You can show people how much you care. And so I put all this energy and all this effort into doing what I knew had gotten me to the seat when I got to lead out of talent, title, and production, except now I'm doing the exact same thing so somebody else's name could be chanted on game day. I was planting somebody else's seed for somebody else to reap the harvest. My last year in the NFL, there's 2 awards that are voted on by your teammates. One's permanent captain, and the other is the Ed Block Courage Award. That's somebody that overcame something that your teammates valued as courageous leadership. And last year, I was the backup quarterback, and I was voted this, and we got to go to Maryland, and we're sitting there, and they got this whole big thing. It's a bunch of people out in the room, and I look to my right because I'm up on the front with all the other 32 guys. And I look to my right, and there's Michael Vick and all these different starters down this way. And I look down this way, and there's all these different starters that way. I was the only backup that was in the room. And it was in that moment that I realized that influence has nothing to do with your talent. It has nothing to do with your title. It has nothing to do even with your production of what other people would deem to be production. It showed me that to find myself, I had to be myself. To be myself, I had to know myself. To know myself, I had to grow myself. To grow myself, I had to get over myself. And then and only then could I serve something greater than myself. Influence came, leadership came from this place of learning how to be a backup leader and not caring who gets to reap the harvest and whose name gets to be chanted on Sundays. It came from learning how to serve something greater than myself. You want to be great? Serve. You want to be first? Go last. And if serving is beneath you, leadership will always be beyond you. The last thing I learned, I got 6 minutes. There's always the next play. Because I can look out in this room right now and I can see some people just kind of writing me off. That's fine. I can see other people sitting there going, wish I'd have gotten that one right. The great news is there's the next play for both of you. There's always the next play. There's always the next series. There's always the next game. There's always the next season. So I'm a rookie in the NFL, and we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. We're getting beat 42-7 going into the fourth quarter. And it has snowed 6 inches from the start of the first quarter to the start of the fourth quarter. And I'm like y'all, if James Spann says it's snowing, we shut the whole state down, right? I've literally almost called Nathan like, hey, are we still having this thing? I know there's a winter warm like coming in, right? Like we shut the whole thing down, and I'm from here. And so I'm sitting there watching us just getting worked on Sunday Night Football, and I got my jacket on, my beanie on, I'm standing in front of the heater, and I'm just kind of going, I wonder if they run the clock. You know, is there a mercy rule in NFL? And about that time, Herm Edwards, who was my coach, he turned around and he goes, hey, kid. I went, He called me kid. I don't know if he didn't know my name, if it was a term of endearment. Another leadership lesson for you, life's about interpretation. I took it as a term of endearment, right? And I just go, He said, warm up. I go, for what? He said, you're going in. You'll be amazed when the man tells you you're about to go in and play the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so I get warmed up, and I come over there. He's like, you ready? I was like, since I was 11, I was like, tell you later. And he goes, I want you to run. He called the play. I go, okay. So I go in there, and I stutter through the play, and I'm trying to get it ready, and I break the huddle. And I got this guy named Tony Gonzalez that's running a 6-yard crossing route. And for those of you that don't know who Tony Gonzalez is, he was Travis Kelce before Travis Kelce was Travis Kelce. And for those of you who don't know who Travis Kelce is, he's the Mr. Taylor Swift. Now we're all on the same playing field. That's the dude standing at the end of the line of scrimmage. And I go blue 20, and I look over to my left, and there's this Pert Plus flowing mane standing at the end of the line of scrimmage over here. It's a guy named Troy Polamalu, widely known as the hardest hitting safety in the history of the NFL. And I'm going, man, that's Troy Polamalu. I really don't want to. He looks like he's about to blitz. But man, his hair is every bit of what I thought it would be. Like all this is going through my head, right? And I'm like, well, either I'm going to get hit by him or I'm going to throw it to him. Either one's a pretty cool story to me. So blue 20 said hut. By the time I took my third step, flowing mane had gone 25 yards that way. This guy went this way. And I remember dropping back going, this looks nothing like film. This looks nothing like film. I hit my seventh step, touchdown. First play ever in the NFL. Anyway, thank y'all for your time. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm not done. If you ever invite me back, I can really get into, keeping your eye on the right thing, because I was so worried about him and right here that I didn't see the linebacker standing right in front of him. And I hit him between the 5 and the 0, and he took it 50 yards to the house. Pick 6, first play in the NFL. Like, I'm walking off the field. Trent Green's our starting quarterback. He's just kind of giggling. I'm like, I'm only getting beat 7-0, buddy. You're still getting beat 42-7. I keep walking, and I get over to Herm Edwards. He's just kicking snow, and he goes, well, kid, can't get no worse. Go run it again. I've had some great motivational speakers in my life, right? But man, think about the power of those words. Go run it again. Hey, you messed up. Go make it right. There's greatness inside of you. I want to see it. I believe in who you are and what you've shown. Go run it again. I'd go run through a brick wall for that man because he believed in me. He spoke over me enough to say, by his actions, you have what it takes. I want to see how good you are. I would have done anything for that man in leadership. Our people need to hear that from us. They need to hear, you messed up. You're still who I thought you were. There's greatness inside of you. It just didn't show there. You're going to become something really special. Go run it again. But as I say this, and 700 people in this room, I know there's somebody in here that needs to hear this as well. It's time to go run it again. There's a next play. You feel like you're just enduring, and you can't quite hit that breakthrough. Man, what's the word for enduring? It's called endurance. Do we take that on with a courageous spirit of going, you know what? Just because it didn't happen today doesn't mean that it won't happen tomorrow. There's people in here that I think you're sitting there going, what's this for? And if you've gotten to a place where you're going, I don't even really know what I'm chasing anymore, or why I'm really going down this path, or what really is greatness, I would tell you it's because you chose to bet on the wrong thing. You chose to pursue something that could never bring you what you're actually chasing. See, because there's this hole inside of us that, man, we think is going to be filled with all these different things, but the reality is the measure of our success isn't how much wealth we acquire. It isn't how many boats we have, how many houses we have, how many of any of those things. Success is how do we impact those people around us? How do we invest in ourselves and those people around us? And if you want to go find out how good you really are, I would tell you start by investing in you. In Scripture it says to love your neighbor as yourself. You can't love and lead people without loving and leading yourself well. Set aside time for yourself to develop rhythms. Get rid of balance. Balance is a myth. Balance leads on emotions and it takes you back and forth no matter where it is. Develop rhythms in your life that allows you to be a constant for your people. When you got married, two became one. And if we're making decisions without thinking of that one that two people now live under, we're going to make for a really miserable life. Because we are making decisions thinking that we're chasing success, yet the one that was given to us to go lead is the same one that is now resenting us because we chose something else over her. Lead your wife, lead your spouse, invest in your marriage. Children are the greatest legacy that we will have on this earth. They carry our name, they carry our blood. For many of you, they've carried on your business, or maybe you are the one carrying on the business. Psalm says it this way: children are a heritage from the Lord. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior, blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. Our children need to hear from us. I don't see all the things that you get wrong. I see who you're capable of becoming, and I'm not going to let you settle for 1 ounce less of what that is. We give them a vision for their life. We create these boundaries, these tensions in their life called discipline. They got enough friends. They don't need any more friends. They need us as their fathers, as their mothers, as their leaders to be able to teach them to sacrifice what they want now for what it is that they want most. Because the reality is, when they turn 18 years old, you can't pack a bag that no longer lives in your house. You can invest in them. You can love them. What are we packing their bag for? For the release. Because if we get our order out of place, and if you're at a place where you're going, man, this doesn't feel like I'm going, I would tell you to do a self-audit and go, man, am I aligned with what my initial values were? Am I aligned with what I set out to do this? Or have I lost my way? Have I lost sight of the vision that this whole thing started with? And if that is you, I would tell you to stop whatever it is you're doing right now and to get this back in order, so that the Lord can bless you, so your life can be full of joy, so your children can have the mom and the dad that they always dreamed and were just craving for, so your spouse no longer resents you but just holds you up in high regard with honor because of the way that your marriage has gone. And I'll leave you with 3 questions and my time's up. What has God called you to do? Only you can answer that question. Are you doing it? What's the fruit of question 1 and 2? As leaders, let's go walk worthy of that great name and be the leader that our company, our spouse, and our children deserve. My name's Brodie. It's been an honor. Keep planning.